Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Close the gates of your palace, your ba'ith, your temple, your mishkan, your mikdash, your ahal, your temple, your body. And bring your mind to balance within yourself, within your 12 cranial nerves, within your 12 melanin centers, within your yod and your kaf, your open right hand and your power, and your yod and your kaf and your regal, and all the words of your mouth that may cause you to exalt yourself against the knowledge of Yahusha Mashiach. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day of warning. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us as a natan, as a gift, that we may understand that we don't deserve to be here today. We don't deserve the breath in our body today. We don't deserve to have his understanding be nahat mata'af within ourselves. We don't deserve to walk in our own understanding and still be here. But we are. He allows us to hear and understand and to understand, and he takes us through trials and situations to show that one needs to come up higher and to change. But we look at ourselves and we look at our inward being and we look at our inward thoughts and we refuse to change. And that change takes place within. It takes place within the parts of ourselves that we don't want to crucify within ourselves. And by not crucifying these things within ourselves, it doesn't allow us to walk in righteousness always. And just like everyone on earth, all has fallen short of the kabod of Yahuwah. But even today, we acknowledge that person, that human being, that Elohim who made all the heart of the earth, all the rivers and streams in the heart of the earth, on the surface of the earth, under the earth. We acknowledge the one who created all things and gives life and understanding to all creatures of the earth. The one who gives life and understanding to all the plants and he say all the remes and the Degah and the Oath and the Bahama. Yahuwah Elohim. So this Yom, as we move forward carefully, knowing that we live in a world of deception. Right, so this is Mashali Proverbs chapter 17. Mashali Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 8. 17 and verse 11. An evil man or woman seeks only rebellion. So you look at an evil man and woman, right? When you hear a command, when a man hears a command from Yahuwah and he doesn't do it, he seeks rebellion. The same way when a woman, Isha, hears a command from Yahuwah to submit to her husband, she seeks only rebellion. But it says, a raw, evil man or woman seeks only rebellion, and a cruel messenger will be sent against him or her. Why? Because when you start to go opposite of Yahuwah, start to go opposite of his, the bar was already been spoken, was already been said. Whether 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, whether it's 30 years ago, then you'll find yourself in a situation where a cruel messenger will be sent to you. And it won't be a pleasant thing, especially if you've done it over and over and over again. This both male and female. And it says, let a man meet a she-bear robbed of her cubs rather than a fool in his folly. Why? Because that's better. Because it's better for you to get a bear robbed of meet a bear robbed of her cubs rather than you be in your folly, and it's better for you to meet an animal, a dode. But it says right here, if anyone returns evil for good, so this is what we want. If anyone returns evil for good, so if somebody done good for you for 4 years, 5 years, done so many things, allow you to have so many things and increase your own self and allow you to elevate in your thought process or taking care of you, and they've been there for you when you weren't even there for yourself, and when they were able to do stuff for you, and then you return them evil. If anyone returns evil for good, evil for good when it's in your power to do good, Ra will not depart from his body, from his house. Even from your house that you live in, dwell amongst with Ishas or Nishim or with children or with men servants and maid servants. The evil Ra won't depart out of your house. It'll stay there. Because everybody in the house keep returning evil for good. They return Ra for good. Because people think that getting rebuked ain't good. And they'll give you evil for it. They think being corrected by Yahuwah is not a good thing. It is a good thing. It's a good thing for everybody. right? But it said right here, verse 14, the beginning of strife, right, is the letting out of water. So when you start to quarrel and fight and get into a strife moment, because these are all going to happen to every single person, especially if you're married, especially if you have friendships, especially if you're cohabitating with a bunch of people, or if you're just two people. The beginning of strife is the letting out of water. It's just like you letting out water out of the water hose and you're getting ready to drink it. Or you turn on the faucet and you're getting ready to drink it. Or you start to do certain things. He says, it's just like letting out water. It says, so quit before a quarrel breaks out. Because when a quarrel breaks out between two men, it could be a fight. When a quarrel breaks out between a man and a woman, Ish and the Isha, it could be a fight. It could be something so draining, it'll feel like you just lost, you ran 20 miles and you only been arguing for 2 hours. It'll feel like you ran all day. These are all the attributes and the schemes of Satan within one's heart. And his influences around. And his influences are everywhere, on your cell phone, on your computer, in your house, in your mind. It's in storage places in your heart and your mind. It's in places inside of your thought process that you refuse to let go. It's inside the television. It's on political events. It's on the X. It's on Instagram. It's everywhere. People quarreling and strife about everything. You get what it says? Verse 15, I'm done. He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous are both alike. So if you justify a wicked man or a wicked woman in this world, and then you condemn a righteous person, he said, both are alike, an abomination to you. So all this is a part of it. He said, so why would he say that? Because if you condemn the righteous person, then what happened? You'll find yourself committing abomination, right? So this is the book of 1 John. Aleph Yochanan. 1 John chapter 1. Aleph Yochanan goes to chapter 3 and verse 7. Aleph Yochanan chapter 3 verse 7. It says, little children, let no one deceive you, just like Chuah in the garden. When Chuah got deceived in the garden, he said, the serpent deceived me, the Nakash deceived me. The only reason he deceived her is because she transgressed the commandment that was given to Adam, not to eat from the tree, that was, he said, of the knowledge of good and evil. And in the Nakash, Satan convinced her, and she was deceived. And she brought sin on the world. And she brought death. Because the wages of sin is death. Romans chapter 6. Right? But it says, little children, let no one deceive you. Whosoever practices righteousness is righteous. So if a person practices righteousness, because you know that righteousness, everlasting righteousness, that Torah is the truth, and this is the hard way. For broad is the way to destruction and narrow is the way to life. It's a hard way. You got to be very detailed. If a person is practicing righteousness and you're like making it hard for them, returning evil for good, you're making it really a hard thing, the task for them to do. It becomes something that's really hard, and this is the hard way. But you make it even harder. And it says, as he is righteous, right? It says, whosoever makes a practice of sinning is of Satan. Right, so you make a practice of sinning, he said, you are of Satan, for the Satan has been sinning from the beginning. So you, just like we read in the beginning, just like in the beginning when Chuah was deceived and transgressed the law, transgressed Yahuwah's commandment, Satan been sinning since then too. Everybody been sinning since the beginning of time, right? It's the beginning of the garden. Guess what? The reason the Son of Elohim appeared was to destroy the works of Satan. That's all it is. Hatred, jealousy, envy, strife, complaining, pride, quarreling, fighting, pride, rebellion, hatred, schemes, plots, fornication, adultery, memories of fornication and adultery. This is why he would manifest. He was there to destroy your database and your consciousness, that you may put away the old self, the former self, that the latter may be greater than the former. Right? But that's how he came to do. The reason the Son of Elohim appeared was to destroy the works of Satan. No one born of Elohim makes a practice of sinning. Like, you're not going to keep practicing it. If you really wanted to live righteous and not, if you want to condemn a righteous person, then you'd be condemning a person like this, a person who practiced righteousness. And you'd be justifying wicked people. Right? There's a lot of wicked people in the world. You keep justifying wicked people, and then you come mocking the righteous who are trying to live righteous, and you actually praising the wicked. But this is the whole point. No one born of Elohim makes a practice of sinning. For Elohim's seed abides in him. There's no way. On the 364-day cycle, when the cogs and muaz and the feasts and the Shabbats and all the things that you're supposed to do, then the behaviors that have to manifest, no one born of Elohim, he says, make a practice of sinning, because sin is the transgression of the Torah. So why would you condemn somebody like that and justify a wicked person who doesn't do it? Because you are stuck in between the straits of two. And it says, the reason the son of Elohim appeared was to destroy the works of Satan. No one born of Elohim makes a practice of sinning. For Elohim's seed abides in him. If Yahuwah has rain and snow come down from Shamayim, his seed is the Debar. And he cannot keep on sinning. There's no way you can keep on sinning. There's no way you can keep on quarreling and fighting. There's no way you can keep on lying. There's no way you can keep on fornicating. There's no way you can keep doing that. If Yahuwah's seed is in you, there's no way you're going to do these behaviors. But there's envy and jealousy in people's heart, though. There's strife in people's heart. There's hidden plots and schemes in people's heart. These are all a part of the things that are inside of the human being and human body that man refuses to see. Because he has been born of Elohim. So if you're born of Yahuwah Elohim, you don't make a practice of sinning, and you practice righteousness, and you destroy the works of Satan. Because that's the Debar. By this it is evident who are the children of Elohim and who are the children of Satan. He said, which one you want to be? You want to be the child of Elohim, or you be the child of Satan? This is both male and female. Because you got to make a choice. Choose this day, because every day we got to choose. You can say, I'm the chosen one. Every day you got to be a chosen one. Which are you going to choose? Whosoever does, he says, by this is evident the children of Elohim and who are the children of Satan. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of Elohim. So if a person, your husband, practicing righteousness, why would you say he's not of Elohim? It's because of the folly that's in one's own heart. If a woman is practicing righteousness, and you say she is not, why? Then there must be something in your heart. There must be something wrong. You must be justifying wicked people. You haven't gotten your judgments. You haven't gotten your members exercised to discern between good and evil, because you're not judging properly. You're looking at a human being and you're saying that they're greater than people in Yasharal, because your heart and your mind, you're not judging properly, because you're condemning the righteous and justifying the wicked. And it says, whosoever does not practice righteousness is not of Elohim, nor is the one who does not love his Aki, his brother or sister. So if you don't have no Ahab in your heart, you do not practice righteousness. If you can't utter an apology, you are not practicing righteousness, even when you know you're in the wrong. If you cannot stop slandering, you are not righteous. You slander your brother and your sister, you are not righteous. You got envy and jealousy in your heart for somebody, you are not righteous. When you have a secret plot and scheme and you've already given up in your mind and you want to take somebody down, that is not righteous at all. Because this is all a part of it. Verse 11 says, for this is the message that you have heard from the beginning. What's the beginning? Since the beginning of the world. Say what? That we should love one another. Since you should love one another. What do you mean the beginning? This is Galatians chapter 5. That is the beginning of everything. Because love, ahab, is greater than everything. And people still don't want, he say they don't have no love in their heart. Some people don't give away all their ahab to people who didn't care about them and love them. And then they get into Real people who actually care about them and they have no love to give. Because they're on E. They're on empty. They're on empty. Right? This is Galatians chapter 5 and verse 18. But if you are led by the Ruach, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are evident: sexual morality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife. These are all flesh. Jealousy, fits of anger. This is flesh. These are the works of the flesh. That's why Yahuwah said, I just remembered they're only flesh. Yahuwah know we only flesh. It's not an excuse to have the works of the flesh, but you got to understand that you flesh. You have infirmities in your body. Most people don't have like the first one, but this right here, enmity, strife, that's hatred, jealousy, fits of anger, robberies, dissension, divisions, envy, drunkenness. That's what people struggle with. Most people are not going to do orgies and sexual morality, probably not worship a statue or sorcery, but hatred, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, robberies, dissension, division, envy, and drunkenness people will do on a daily basis if they're not careful. But he said, this is the commandment you heard from the beginning, that you should love one another. Why? Going to verse 22. But the fruit of the Ruach is love. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of all things. Ahaba. Ahab is a masculine energy. The ha at the end is feminine. The man loves more than a woman. His energy of Ahab and love is greater than what a woman could ever manifest. A woman's love and Ahab can't manifest to its full potential until she attached herself to a man. To an ish. Your love is limited. Your love is so small. But when you attach to a man, your love is supposed to increase. But you know why it don't increase when you attach yourself to an ish? It's because you return evil for good. And evil don't depart out of you, out of your house. And this is a part of it. But it said, but the fruit of the Ruach is love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. There is nothing against that. But it's hard for some people. It's hard for some people. And why is this important, right? Why is this important? This is the book of Proverbs. Mashali Proverbs. Mashali Proverbs. Mashali Proverbs. Chapter 2 and verse 22 and 20. Mashali Proverbs 2 and 20. So it says, so you will walk in the way of the good and keep to the path of the righteous. Why? Because you need not return evil for good. You need not return evil for good. You need to walk in the way of Ta'ud. And keep to the path of the righteous. Why? Because this is how you know you are the children of Elohim. For the upright will inhabit the land. The upright. Why? Because that's what he wants in his walking on the Aydah. Because they actually care about the ground, the land, and everything around. To those with integrity will remain in it. If you have integrity in your heart, if you're a male and female have integrity in your heart, you will remain in it. But if you don't, but the wicked will be cut off from the land. That's what's going to happen to you. You're going to lose everything because you return evil for good. And for hatred, for love, you give hatred. You do opposite. You give opposite. He said, why? Because this is the part of people's life they don't like. Because this is all a part of it. Because people don't think that. Because people don't think this, right? This is the book of Proverbs chapter 3, mostly Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 11. It says, my son and daughter, do not despise Yahuwah's discipline. Why? Because Yahuwah reproves you. He rebukes you. Why? And be not weary of his reproof. Why? For Yahuwah reproves whom he loves. But you know, when you somebody you love, you give them hatred back. You give them evil schemes and plots because they rebuked you, and you don't even know your correction is love. You need to be thanking that person and returning good to that person, because that person showed you love, to not allow you to keep doing the very same thing you keep doing. But people love to fight and quarrel. It's like the letting out of water, and there's nothing you can do about it, especially when things are going haywire. You gotta go back, regroup, get back to your state of being, and then you have to look at yourself and search yourself. Because this is the time right now. A fool don't plow in autumn. You're gonna seek out harvest and have nothing. This is the time to do it. That's why these things come up. People say, why do these events come up? It's so you can search your heart and see what's in your heart and deal with it. But most people want to run from it. They run from their situation. They try to get as far away from it. They try to play victim. That's the one thing we do. We play victim. We play victim of who we are. Verse 3 and 12 says, for Yahuwah reproves whom he loves, as a father the son in whom he delights. Right? That's what happens. Yahuwah does these things, and people hate it. He says, so why we hate it? There's a reason why we hate it. Right? This is the Psalm of Solomon. The Psalm of Solomon. Psalm of Solomon, chapter 10, the hymn of Solomon, chapter 10, 1 through 8. 10, 1 through 8. It says, happy is the man whom Yahuwah remembers with rebuking. Oh, isn't what Leah said? She said, I'm so happy. And she called his name Asher. She called his name Asher because she was happy. Because Yahuwah. Happy is the man or woman whom Yahuwah remembers with rebuking, because Yahuwah remembered her. He's like, I'm so happy now. And she called his name Asher. And amazingly, that was, I believe, the 8th son. It says, and protect from the evil way with a whip. Why? Because you don't want to. The only reason he returns, he would try to protect you from the evil way, so you won't return evil for good. That's why he reproves you. That he may be cleansed from the sin, that it may not increase. Why? Because he don't want your sin to increase. That's why he's reproving you with the debar. Because he don't want your sin to increase. Because when your sin increase, then you're not going to be born of Elohim no more. You'll be ready to Aleph Yukanan. And then you're going to be a child of Satan. Just that fast. So if you don't like reproof and you don't like his love or Ahab, then you ain't never going to say, Yahuwah has made, I'm happy because you, and he called his name Asher. That ain't going to be you. That's male and female and child. It says, the one who prepares his back for the whip shall be purified. And you say, man, you ain't pure. You ain't pure. You're not pure and righteous, but not even knowing. When Yahuwah reproves, he said, I'm prepared my back for the whip. I'd rather be reproved with the whip than to sit here and that my sins don't increase, than to sit there and keep quarreling and fighting. That I may be purified after the bar is over. So he said, you know how people say you need to sit down and listen and humble your ear. And just like Ezra say, so receive wisdom and knowledge and instruction. Receive instruction. Nafash, receive wisdom and instruction. And it says, for Yahuwah is good to those who endure discipline. Why? Because you need to get reproved with the debar, because your wicked flesh that you have. Your wicked flesh. And you know what happens? For he will straighten the ways of the righteous. Why? Because he wants you to still be his child. He said, I'm going to straighten you up. Your little wicked children, your wicked wife, you wicked husband, you wicked child, you wicked teacher, you wicked moray, you wicked pastor. You wicked. You wicked Nabi. He said, Nabi can't be wicked. Yeah, prophet. Nabi Yah, Nabi can be wicked. They can be wicked. They can have wickedness on the inside of them. You wicked shepherd. All this is all part of it. He said, why I say all that? Because you wicked mother, you wicked father, you wicked sister, you wicked brother. You wicked ox. Right? You wicked sheep, you wicked lamb, right? You got some good animals on where if people own them. And you got some evil ones that ram you in your neck. That will stick a horn in your side. He said, man, I got some cat. He said, what? Man, I got a cattle, man. I got a goat with a horn. I got an ox with a horn. But if you get that ox some type of room, that ox will stick his horn right through your stomach. And some of them be human beings. If you give them room. Right, and this is right here. For he will straighten the ways of the righteous and will not bend them by discipline. Why? Because he ain't going to try to overdo it. He said, I'm not going to bend them by discipline. And the mercy of Yahuwah is upon those who truly love him. If you truly love him, after he reproves you and he chastises you, and you be like, man, Yahuwah has made me happy. I'm going to call his name Asher. And you get to these points in your life, then guess what happens? You love him. It says, and Yahuwah remembers his servants in mercy. For the testimony of it is the law of the eternal covenant. And the testimony of Yahuwah is the ways of the men in his supervision. Right? Because that's all a part of it. Because some people can't take it. Right? Going back to Proverbs chapter 3, verse 12. Yahuwah reproves whom he loves. That's how you know your husband loves you. That's how you know your mother loves you, children. And a father, a son whom he delights. Why? Because this is what we talk about. Verse 3 and 13. Barak is the one who finds Hakim. Why? And the one who gets understanding. For the gain of her is better than gain from silver, and the profit of her than gold. You know how people collect all the money and finances. Some people say they don't care about it. Some people say they don't care about houses and things that they own and the things that Yahuwah has given, that they have a roof over their head and the things that they have. But he said, Hakmah is greater than all of it. Wisdom is. How do you know? Because wisdom is greater than all of it. Anything you can profit. And get what it says. Verse 15, she is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. It says, long life is in her right hand. How you say? In her right hand, her yad. And in her left hand are riches and honor, right? Proverbs chapter 3, verse 16. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 16. Right, let's get our hands right. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 16. That word for right hand is yamin. Yamin. They got yamin. It means a right hand. It says a side of the leg, an eye of a person. Right? It also means south, but it also means right hand. And they have many. It says left hand, but they have right hand, right? And then that word for left hand is semol. 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 It means properly dark. That is in the north, envelope. It means orientation, the left hand. Right? But he said, it said, long life is in her right hand, or yamin, and in her left hand are riches and honor, samul. Her ways are the way of pleasantness, and her paths are shalom. It's peace. It's shalom. Some people don't like peace. Because they feel like getting rebuked into ka and getting reproved by Yahuwah ain't love, and they think that ain't peace. That is shalom. He said quarreling is like a letting out of water. So quit. Some people don't like to quit. Because they like to quarrel because you're getting called out on your sin and your hatred. Right? It says her ways, and it says, she is a tree of life to those who lay hold on her. You see, Hakmah. If you lay hold on it, that's the tree of life. If you can take hold of it. But consuming envy does not dwell will not have fellowship with Hakma. That's why you wonder why people won't have fellowship with you or want to be around you, because you have Hakma. And they don't. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, 12 through 25. It says, wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. Yes, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. It's always there. She prevented them that desire her, and making herself first known unto them. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail. Whoso seeketh her in the bed. Whoso seeketh her just sitting around. He said, whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail. For he shall find her sitting at his doors. He'd be sitting right at the doors. Some people are not in awe of Hakma. They just don't see it as something that's really needful. They think silence is wisdom. Because even a fool, when he is silent, is considered wise. Doesn't mean you're wise. You say you know Hakma by when somebody opens their mouth. You'll know if it's what it is by the way they speak. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her. So if you don't have Hakma, that means you're not worthy of her. You're not worthy of it in your tongue. Which means you're doing something in you must be returning evil for good. She shows herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every single thought. That means every thought process on how you think, it meets you there. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline. We know that's the beginning. We should love one another, because that is the first fruit of the Ruah. And the care of discipline is love. And love keepeth her laws, and giveth heed unto her laws is assurance of incorruption. So love, ahab, and wisdom is what a woman needs to be a kaya, a woman, a virtuous woman. It's what a man needs to be a ruler. And if both have it, there won't be no quarreling and fighting. And there won't be there'll be wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And there won't be a woman trying to rule over a man in the household and trying to exercise authority and usurp authority over him. There won't be none of that, because she has Hakma in her tongue. But being that she's returning evil for good from a man taking care of her, even when they're evil will not depart out of her heart and her mind. But it says, for the love is the keeping of the laws, and giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption. So this mortal must put on immortality. This corruption must put on incorruption. It's assurance that you will get it. And incorruption maketh us near to Yahuwah. Because he said, being that you see, you think you see, your guilt remain. Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth us to the Malkut. Yahuwah made me happy. He has. If he truly has made you simcha or happy, then you would understand. Verse 21. If you delight to be in thrones and scepters, O kings, malakim, O the people, honor Hakma, that ye may reign forevermore. As for wisdom, what she is and how she came up, I tell you, and will not hide mysteries from you, but will seek her out from the beginning, because the beginning is a hug. It's love. It says, in the beginning of her nativity, it's love. And bringeth knowledge of her into light, and will not pass over the truth. Neither will I go with consuming envy, because you consume the whole vine. You consume a whole husband. Consuming envy will do a lot of things, right? And people don't even know what it will do. But I'm going to show you what consuming envy will do. This Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 12 and 1. It says, whosoever loves discipline loves knowledge. That's how you know you love getting reproof. Why? Because who's going to make you happy is the man whom Yahuwah reproves. Simcha. But he who hates reproof is stupid. That's what it says in the ESV. He said, you stupid. You hate reproof. A good man obtains favor from Yahuwah, but a man of evil devices he condemns. He said that Happy is the man whom Yahuwah reproves, remembers with rebuking. It's better that you do it when you got your evil devices. Why would you not want to be condemned and get rebuked? Would you rather just keep going in your way, male and female? You know you got evil devices. You know you use your cell phone for evil. You know you use your databases for evil. You know you use spy out. You know you do things for evil. You know you do it for raw purposes. No one is, it says right here, no one is established by wickedness, but the root of the, it says no one is established by wickedness, right? So you want to be wicked, you're not going to be established. He whoso condemneth the righteous and justifies the wicked, you must not, if you do that out of your tongue, it's an abomination in the sight of Yahuwah. No one is established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous will never be moved from love and hukmah. He said, man, I don't care if a person starts, he said, man, you know how it says that fool only rages and laughs when a wise man quarrel with a fool. The fool only rages and laughs. They laugh after they rage all around, because the fool rages when they argue with a wise man. That's what they do. Because it's called folly. Verse 12, an excellent wife is a crown to her husband. You know why? It is a crown. But guess what happens? But she who brings shame is like rottenness to his bones. This is like consuming envy. It'll rot you from the inside out. It'll destroy you from your bones and your joints and your marrow. Because you know why? Because the person who joined themselves to you does not care about you. And that's the same thing in the body of Yahushua Mashiach. When you join yourself to him and then you don't produce any fruit, and he divine you the branches and you start doing things erratically, you consume the whole branch. The same thing with a woman in her household, or Nashim in their household. They will literally consume the bones of the house, even the man himself that they join themselves to. They will send him to death. And some women know it. They have that power, and they use it to weaken a man on purpose. And people are wicked like that today. But guess what? The thoughts of the righteous are just. The counsel of the wicked are deceitful. Because you say, he that practices righteousness is a child of Elohim. Why would you not listen? But he says, but the counsel of the wicked are deceitful. It's very deceitful. I don't know. Cannot really trust what you say. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright delivers them. Why? Because he's going to tukah, right? He said you could be rottenness to his bones, right? So going back to Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 23. Neither will I go with consuming envy, but for such a man or woman shall have no fellowship with hukmah. Why? Because wisdom comes out of a Kayol woman. He said, a righteous woman, you be a crown to your husband. But if you don't, you actually rot his bones from the inside out. Verse 24, but the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, hukmah, right? Because these are all the part of the hukmah words, the things of the bar that comes out of your mouth. And a wise king is the upholding of his people. Because that's all a part of it. He says, so why we start there? Because it's important. Just like every other thing that we do, right? You have to make sure every time, every single day, that one does what it needs to. Why? Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in a situation, be like, man, how did I get back here? And you'd be like, I don't know. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6. Devarim chapter 6 and verse 4. Devarim 6 and 4. It says, hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah your Elohim is one. He's a God. And guess what? You shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart. You're going to have a hav, because that's the first fruit of the Ruach. And a hav is the beginning. It's a discipline. It comes with tukah, rebuking, and a love. It comes with rebuking, and wisdom dwells with love. It says, you shall love Yahuwah with all your heart and with all your soul, nefesh, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. Why? And you shall teach them diligently to your children. Why? Because you're supposed to have a righteous household. That's the whole point of coming into a household in a marriage. The woman that Isha is saved in childbearing, according to the book of Bereshit, according to her punishment. And then you're supposed to teach these words to your children. Why? Because you need them to have love and hakmah on their tongues. But if somebody is loud and is returning evil for good, what type of teaching are you going to teach them? Because you're not an organized individual. Some people don't know how to work with other people. Some people don't know how to work with nobody in general. They just do things on their own. Some people just don't want to do it because they just don't care. Right? We're just not trying to create no careless daughters and no careless sons. Right? It says, you shall teach them diligently to your children and shall talk of them when you sit in your house. Why? Because some people don't want to talk with them. They want to talk. They want to be silent all day. Or be mute. So it says, you shall teach them diligently to your children when you talk to them, when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. All this is a part of the child's life, being with a bunch of two righteous individuals, a righteous family. That should be their whole life. That's all they should know. That's all they should hear. That's all they should be Nahamad Da'ath on the inside. But if they're not hearing that, what type of children you think they're going to create? And what type of children you think you're going to be teaching? If you don't do it every day. Oh, children of Satan. It says, you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and he says, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Wow. Because that's all a part of it, right? Because this is all a part of it. This is Bereshit chapter 2. Bereshit chapter 2 and verse 20. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 19. It says, now out of the ground, Yahuwah Elohim had formed every beast of the field and every bird of the Shama'ims, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. Why would he bring them to the man? He brought them right to him. He wanted to see what he would call them. He wanted to see. And you know what happened? And whatever the man called every living creature, that was its name. So whatever the man said, it stands. But it don't stand today. You know how it is. The man gave names to all livestock and to all the birds of the Shamaim and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helper and a czar fit for him. Because everybody think they're a czar, but then it says somebody that's fit, somebody that can actually be a good helper to you because of the type of thing you're doing. You need somebody who can actually be a support mechanism and be able to help with those things. But if you have a selfish, careless human being, that's not an azar that Yahuwah says is fit for you. He said can fit it with you, with this type of lifestyle. Because you cannot be a careless and hateful individual to have this type of life. There will be nothing left. The man gave names to all livestock, to the birds, the Shamaim, going to verse 2. So Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon the Adam. And while he slept, he took one of his reeds and closed up its place with flesh. And the reed that Yahuwah had taken from the man, Adam, he made into a woman. Because that woman was literally in his image and likeness, literally had the same similarities and care. It had the same, it had similarities in Hakma. Similarities in how he was and everything he was. He was created, he literally pulled somebody that was literally like a piece of his body coming out from him. and brought her to the man, and the man said, this is at last bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, Isha, because she was taken out of the man. Why? Because she was taken out of a man. So she didn't have any existence until she was taken out of a man. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his Isha. He said, that man gonna have to leave his father and mother and hold fast to you. And then what does that person turn into? A careless, hateful, jealousy, envy, returning evil for good person. What? That man left his father and mother for that. And then you say, what's going on? And a woman got to do the same thing. But at the same time, and they shall become one, a Kad, because Yahuwah is one. But anything outside of that, then you ain't a Kad with Yahuwah. You're not one with them. He said you don't want to get into alignment because the Isha is a smaller piece of the man. And anything smaller than a man, he say little. Big me, little me. Big person tell the little person what to do. The weaker person what to do. Why? Because you're only as strong as your weakest link. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. He said they weren't even ashamed. Why? Because all this is important. Why? Because it's all important. Because they had to leave his father and mother, right? But they had to be one flesh. They became a Kad. And that's important because becoming a Kad is important. But why is being a Kad so people hate being a Kad so bad? They hate it. They think it's evil. Being a Kad is raw to them. And when somebody's doing good and trying to be a Kad, you return evil for it, and then you become rottenness to his bones. And then what happens after that? Then you're going to find yourself consuming the whole branch. You're going to consume the whole vine. And then you're going to be destroying everybody because of your lifestyle, and your mind, and your tongue. Because people can manipulate too. They can manipulate too, right? Going to Bereshit chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, and 1 through 3. Now the serpent, Nakash, was more crafty than any of the beasts of the field that Yahuwah Elohim had made. He was real crafty. Very. And he said to the woman, did Elohim actually say, because when people start to do that, was it actually technically the way he said it? In that way? Or did he actually say it this way? Since you know everything and you know all things, did he actually say it that way? And guess what? You shall not eat of the tree that is in the garden. He said, did he say that? Because you put a question mark on something Yahuwah said. And the woman said to the serpent, Nakash, we may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden. But Elohim said, you shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. Right, because she knew the bar. She knew what it says. She knew what the commandment that was given to her husband. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly what she's doing. So please don't be thinking that your Isha don't know the bar. She may not know it. Amazingly, some people have arguments with people, male or female, and then they don't know the bar. But when they out within the Nakash, they know all of the bar. They act like they don't know it until they leave you and leave your presence. Or they want to win. That's when they know. When they within the Nakash. And it says, and the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of all the fruit trees of the garden, but the Elohim said, you shall not eat of it, the fruit of the trees in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it lest you die. Why? Because he's trying to give you a warning. But that whole thing, right? You're going to Bereshit 2, 16 through 17. And Yahuwah to Bereshit 2, 16 through 17. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded Adam, saying, You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of Ta'u and Ra, good and evil, children of light, the children of Satan, returning evil for good. Evil will not depart out of your house. You know why you don't? Because you're not judging properly within yourself. I shouldn't be justifying some wicked men, some wicked women, and then come around next and 5 minutes later and can try to condemn the righteous who's practicing righteousness. That's an abomination in the sight of Yahuwah. And I shouldn't have let that come out of my little Isha tongue. I shouldn't have let that come off my Nakash tongue. I shouldn't have let that come off my Nakash tongue, Ish. And that's the whole point. I should have never did that, right? Right? Bereshit 2:16-17. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, Adam, you may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Ta'u and Ra, you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Man, it'll be rottenness to your bones. Man, it'll be like rottenness to your bones. That crown you had on your head, Adam, man, it's going to be like rottenness to your bones. It says the woman was not, so you think about that. Think about the woman. When Yahuwah gave his commandment, the woman wasn't even here yet. But she was a part of his body, though. She was a part of the body, but she wasn't there yet. And amazingly, you be wondering why your children have your same behaviors before they get born into the world. Because they start inside of you first. Even the seed that comes from a man starts inside of you. And everything inside of the woman starts inside of you. And then when they come out into the physical reality, they're just like you. Right, going to Bereshit chapter 3 and verse 17. So why is this important? Because she wasn't made yet. But at the same time, Bereshit chapter 3 verse 17. And to Adam he said, this after he ate from the tree. Because you have listened to the voice of your wife. Why? Because he listened to her. Why? Why would he listen? Why would Adam listen to the woman? He said, because you listened to the voice of your Isha. Why? Because what's wrong with listening to her? And have eaten of the tree which I commanded you. Why? Because he listened to her voice instead of Yahuwah's voice. And he wasn't supposed to listen to her because she was the transgressor of the Torah, of the law. And there's no point in listening to a person who's a transgressor of the law, of the Torah, of Yahuwah gave in the commandment, and do what that person says. Because Yahuwah gave Adam the gun and told him Aydah and Shamar, and that was a good thing. But to return him evil by transgressing the commandment is an abomination in the sight of Yahuwah. So what do you think that woman became? An abomination in the sight of Yahuwah. She returned evil for good. Because Yahuwah made everything, it was good. Tameo Ta'u. But she returned evil for good. You returned Yahuwah evil rather than good. There's a moral to the story. There is a moral to this story. It says, and he listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you. You shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Because you listened to somebody, listen to your Isha, the transgressor to the bar. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Right? So why had that happen? Bereshit chapter 3 verse 12. Then Yahuwah Elohim said to the woman, what is this that you have done? What did you do? The woman said, the serpent deceived me and I ate. So you see Adam listening to his deceived, transgressing wife, who's deceived, and listen to her voice, who's a deceived individual, Because he said, be ye doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving your own self. She deceived, and you listened to the voice of your Isha, and then you ended up transgressing the bar, the commandment, because you listened to her. And she was deceived, because she wasn't doing what the bar said. So why would you do what a woman saying? She ain't doing what the bar said. She ain't doing what the commandments say. She ain't even doing it. She don't even believe it. So why would you do what she said? He said, man, you be listening to a whole nother voice. And you're going to end up like Adam. Let's go to Romans chapter 5. Romans chapter 5 and verse 12. Romans chapter 5 and verse 12. Therefore, just as sin came into the world, right? How did sin come into the world? Through one man. He said, man, just one man. Because you know, Yahuwah, it says Yahuwah is a God. Here, Yahshua, Yahuwah is a God. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they should be a God, one flesh, and one man. They were one man when they heard the commandment, don't eat from the tree of the garden. They were one. Therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man, a God, and death through sin, you see death through sin. Why? Because the wages of sin is death. And so death spread to all men because of all sin. Why? Because all have sinned, because the woman was deceived and a transgressor, and she literally spoke to her husband and he obeyed her voice and committed sin. And now all have sinned. Because sin is now in their DNA. That transgression is in their DNA. And then as sin increased more and got worse and worse, adding sin to sin, then now you got Galatians chapter 5, you got all these different sins and things that cause sin, and all these detailed things now. Because of all the one sin, it mutated and grew to what you see today. It says, they were one man. But you understand, right? It says, therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man, and death through sin, so death spread to all men because all sinned. It spreads to everybody. It's like disease. It's like gangrene. It's like quarreling. It's like the letting out of water, quarreling and strife. It spread to all men. It'll spread to your whole body. It'll take over your mind, your consciousness, your health. It'll destroy your inward parts, your liver, your kidneys. Man, all that stuff will destroy you. Sin does what sin does. This Bereshit 1, they were one man though. Bereshit 1:27. Let's go to Bereshit chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. So he created Adam in his own image. He created in his own image. In the image of Yahuwah, he created him, male and female. That's one man. By one man, sin came into the world. It came into the world, but who started it? Who got the ball running? Who kicked the ball off? Who threw it off? Who started it off? Who started it off? A man, it said right here, so he created Adam in his own image, in the image of Yahuwah, he created him. And it says male and female, he created them. They were one man. They were one man. They literally sinned as one man. They agreed, like Ananias and Sapphira, and they agreed to transgress the Torah. They agreed. And it brought death. He said, it didn't say, of course we know it don't say Kua gonna die. He said, you're gonna die because he don't know, Kua don't know, and what you don't know is that Adam and Kua were one, a God. And when Adam died, she died. And she was attached to him. And it says, Bereshit 3:16. To the woman he said, I will surely multiply your pain. Going to Bereshit 3:16. To the woman he said, I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing, and in pain you shall bring forth children. Why? Because you transgressed and you were deceived, and Adam listened to you. So in pain you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. He said your desire. That word for rule is mashal. He said is mashal. And guess what it means? To rule, dominion, govern, or reign, bear. What do you mean bear? The strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. It means have power. You have to bear the infirmities of the weak because you're weak. That's why Satan comes and attacks you. That's why Satan can do things. He can alter the course of the mind. Right? Because he said, a man don't rule over a woman. Yes, he do. He does. But guess what? And he rules over too. He rules over a woman too. A little rib does not rule over a man. A little piece of him don't rule over him. That's called witchcraft. That's like a spell caster. Because you have a little piece of something of his DNA and then you use it to control him. That is called spell casting. So when the Isha tries to rule over a man and tries to rule his mind, his heart toward Yahuwah and try to usurp and take authority of it and his power and his bearing purposes and his rule and his dominion and tries to reign over him, guess what that is? That's sorcery. It's called sorcery. It's called witchcraft. Right? That's what it's called. That's what it is. He said, why? Because all that's important. Right? And you say, why? Because you say, why we need to do that? Because it's important, right? Right, so this is the book of, yeah, it's interesting, right? This is interesting. This is interesting, right? Right, this is the book of Leviticus, I believe, yeah. I think it's Leviticus. Yeah, this is the book of Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 29. Leviticus chapter 19 verse 29. Do not profane your daughter by making her a prostitute, lest the land fall into prostitution and the land become full of depravity. You shall, whose responsibility is that? The father. You shall keep my Shabaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yahuwah. Do not turn to mediums or necromancers. And Isha that tries to rule over her husband, have dominion over him, and reign over him. Do not turn to mediums or necromancers, and do not seek them out, or make yourself unclean by them. I am Yahuwah. Why? You shall stand up before the gray head and honor the face of the old man, right? But this is, he said, why would he say don't hearken to necromancers? He said, why? Right, this is Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 6. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 6. If a man turns to mediums and necromancers, whoring after them, he said, man, you're going to turn and listen to your Isha after she deceived and teach you to transgress the Torah? And she trying to take your dominion and rule and authority. And she can't bear no sin because she's the weaker vessel. She can't bear anything. You got to bear it. It says that if a person turns to mediums or necromancers, whoring after them, I will set my face against that person and will cut him off from my people. Why? Because that's the whole point of it. Because if you do, if you listen, right? If you listen, right? That's the whole point. All right, going back to Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. To the woman he said, I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing. And in pain you will bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. Mashal. But if you don't believe that, because if you don't believe that, then how are you going to be saved? This is Bereshit 3:17. And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. And in pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. He said, because of you. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth to you, and you shall eat of the plants of the field. And by the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken. For the wages of sin is death. Right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 25 and verse 24. The book of Sirach 25 and 24. A wicked woman abateth the courage. She rottens the bones. Matter of fact, she tries to take rule, authority, and dominion over the Ish. She tries to take his courage away. Why is she trying to make him weak and take his courage away? A wicked woman obeyed the courage and maketh a heavy countenance. Why is she trying to put weights and sin on him? Because you will lay aside every weight in the sin. How is she making him heavy? Because you remember, consuming envy is heavy. It outweighs, a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. So if she's making him heavy, that means she's putting weights on him that should not be there, which is some sins, right? A wicked woman obeys the courage and maketh a heavy countenance and a wounded heart. Why is she doing that to you? Because she wants to make you on the level playing field and make you a weaker vessel so she can take authority, dominion, and rule over you and to marshal over you. That's why she's doing it. But how do you destroy wickedness? We just read it. Happy is the man whom Yahuwah remembers with rebuking. Why? Yahuwah has made me happy. I'm going to call his name Asher. Because that's what you're going to have to do. But if the person don't believe that, then guess what happens? A wicked woman obey the courage. She's going to take away your courage and make a heavy countenance and a wounded heart. A woman who will not comfort her husband in distress. You think a woman like that, you going through the most toughest time in your life. You think that woman going to try to comfort you? She wants you to make you so weak to where she can get her rule over you. She's going to be a governor over you. She's going to take all your power. She's going to reign. She's going to bear. She wants to be the person that's the head. She's going to take a dominion and rule over you. That's what she's going to do. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress, make it weak hands and feeble knees. But you see, Kawua, she was deceived. Because the serpent tricked her and he ate. And she ate. And then she gave it to her husband and he ate. And then what is this that you have done? Right? Because all that's a part of it. Guess what it says? It says, a woman who will not comfort her husband in distress, make it weak hands and a feeble knees. He said, why? Because this is all part of it. Because he's going to make you weak. He's going to make you feeble. Why? Because if he make you feeble, then you ain't going to... You're going to need this verse. You're going to need this verse. This is 1 Samuel, Al-Shemuel 2. You're gonna need this. You're gonna need Aydah chapter 2, Aydah 2 and 1. And Hannah prayed and said, "You need this type of woman. You don't need that woman. Let me show you what type of woman you need." And Hannah prayed and said, "My heart exalts in Yahuwah." That's what you need. My horn is exalted in Yahuwah, not over Yahuwah, not over her ish, not over her man, not having authority and dominion over her, not taking the rule, but staying underneath as the weaker vessel. And guess what it says? My mouth derides my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. He said, what? There is none Kudash like you, Yahuwah. That's what you need. This is what you need to hear from a person towards you. For there is none besides you. There is no rock like our Elohim. Right? Talk no more very proudly. That's what you see why. Talk no more very proudly. Put your hand over your mouth. You know what else you need? You know what else? Let not arrogance come from your mouth. For Yahuwah is the Elohim of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. Now here's what you need. The bows of the mighty are broken, but the feeble bind on strength. He said what? He said the feeble bind on strength. Why? Because you need it. Because when that type of person comes, you're going to need some strength. Because you know what happens? You're going to need it. Because if you don't got it, you know what's going to happen to you? Man, it's going to be a terrible day for you. Right? This is the book of Nehemiah. This is the book of Nakumyah. This is the book of Nehemiah. This is the book of Nehemiah. This is the book of Nakumyah. They say Nakumyah. Nakumyah. Right, so this is the book of Nakumyah, chapter 6 and 10. Now when I went into the house, actually go up to verse Nakumyah 6 and 6. Actually, let's go to verse 1. Now when Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem and Arab and the rest of our enemies heard that I had built the wall, that's what Hannah just prayed, talking about her enemies, and that there were no breaches left in it, although up to that time I had not set up the doors of the gate, Sanballat and Geshem sent to me, saying, "Come, let us meet together in Harpernicum in the plain of Ono." He said, "Man, I'm not going to Ono." But they intended to do me harm. What do you think people are trying to do? They want to meet with you. Third parties. Why? Because you done did something. You done built something. You know what happened? And sent messages to them, and I sent messages to them saying, "I am doing a great work. I cannot come down." You know why? Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? But guess what he says? And they sent to me 4 times in the same way, repeating stuff over and over and over again. That's what people do when they quarrel and fight, when they got shadim on the inside. They repeat things over and over again, trying to get you to do you harm. Right? And guess what it says? And guess what it says? Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? And they sent 4 times in the same way. You know what it is? You know why they sent it 4 times? What's the fourth letter of the alphabet? The dollars. It means door, entrance way. They were trying to open up a gateway, a doorway, a gateway, a portal in your mind. They're trying to get in your head. That's why they do it 4 times in a row, trying to do you harm. And guess what? And I answered them in the same manner. He said, I answered them in the same manner. They're trying to make you go silent. What you gonna teach for? What you gonna say that for? What you gonna go back and do that for? You don't need to be doing that. Because that was the whole point. They're trying to do you harm. And I answered them in the same manner. In the same way, Sanballat from for the 5th time sent his servant to me with an open letter in his hand. He sent it in the yard. He sent it in his hand. And you know what? And it says, in it was written, it is reported among the nations, the Goyim, the Geshem, and also saying that you and the Yahudim intend to rebel. He said, a wicked man only seek rebellion, man or woman only seek rebellion. Rebellion against who? Against people around trying to do them harm? No, rebellion against Yahuwah. That is why you are building the wall. He said, man, you seek to rebel. He's like, man, we ain't trying to rebel against nobody. And according to these reports, you wish to become their king. He said, man, you're looking to become the ruler of the whole thing. You're trying to build your own kingdom up in here. You know, you're trying to establish your little thing you got going. You're trying to make it bigger. I know you're trying to be the Malach in that place. You think you rule everything, right? You know what it says. And you also had set up Nabi to proclaim concerning you in Jerusalem. You say you got people talking about you. You think you somebody. Man, it's like the women who were giving Dawid honor when he brought the Ark of the Covenant, and he was dancing before Yahuwah, and his wife came and said, what? You were like one of the lewd fellows. He's like, man, shall I be content because of you? I did it for Yahuwah. And she didn't have a child to the day of her death because she opened her mouth. But it's the same thing. Therefore, the king Yehuda, and now the king will hear these reports. So now, come, let us take counsel together. He said, man, you're trying to make yourself a king too. Right, verse 7. And you have also set up Nabi'im to proclaim concerning you in Jerusalem. There is a king in Yehuda, a Malach in Yehuda, and now the Malach will hear of these reports. So now come, let us take counsel together. He said, let us take counsel. Then I sent to him, saying, no such thing as you say have been done, for you are inventing them out of your own mind. Why are you inventing it out of your own mind? Because you're trying to get me to stop doing what I'm doing. Anything you do to try to get me to stop doing what I'm doing, I already know you're inventing in your own mind. For they wanted to frighten us. You're trying to make me afraid. You're trying to make me afraid. Thinking their hands, their yah will drop the work. You think we're going to drop. You think you're going to stop. That's the whole point. That's why Satan, Shaitan come. And it will be not done. That's the whole point. That's the only reason they say Satan come. Quick quarreling and fighting and hatred and jealousy and a false tongue in your house. So nothing can get done. That's the only reason he do it. So nothing can get done. That's why he said nobody. He said they throw a blind eye to things that they know they're supposed to say. They watch you like Asu, Esau. They love to see you fall. They love to see you fail. Because they want to frighten you. Thinking their hands will drop from the way. You thought I was going to stop, didn't you? And it will not get done. But now, oh Elohim, strengthen my hands. Because when you get the other woman, man, she's going to make you weak, feeble, and she's going to take away your courage. I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. That's all it is, trying to make you feeble and weak and make you frail so they can take your dominion over you. Because she don't want to be mashalled over Adam, over her east. She don't want him mashal over her. It says, now when I went into the house of Shemaiah and the son of Deliah, son of Methiel, Metabel, who was confined at home, he said, let us meet together in the house of Elohim within the temple, and let us close the doors of the temple, for they are coming to kill you. Man, they coming to take you out. They are coming to kill you by night. They coming in thief in the night like Satan. You know what he did when he came to get Yahusha in Yukonon chapter 18? They are coming to kill you tonight. But I said, should such a man as I run away? Why ain't gonna run away? And what man such as I could go into the temple and live? He's like, man, I'm not weak and feeble, right? But you know how it is. And I understood and saw that Elohim had not sent him or her. And you know why? But he has pronounced this prophecy against me because Tobiah and Shabath had hired him. He said, man, Satan hired him. Who do you think hired him? Satan hired her. For this purpose he was hired, that I should be afraid and act in this way and sin. Because that's what she's going to put on you. She's going to put heaviness on you. That you can act in this way and be afraid and not take away your courage, and you will sin. That's why a wicked woman abateth courage. She maketh feeble knees and a wounded heart. She weaken you. And you got to pray to you and say, strengthen my hands, strengthen my mind, strengthen my iron, strengthen my ears, strengthen my body, strengthen my heart and my mind, strengthen my thoughts and my makatshaba, my yetzer, strengthen my tikfarat, my bina hakmada'a. Right? You gotta speak like that. Why? For this purpose he was hired, that I should be afraid and act in this way and sin, so they could give me a bad name in order to taunt me. That's the only reason. Because they want to taunt you when they get you weak and feeble and weak and lose your strength, and then they take dominion and rule and power over you, then they can taunt you. Ha, 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 ha. They can laugh at you. Because a fool only rages and laughs when you argue with a wise man. They want to taunt you. They want to have a joke about you. That's the only reason they do it. That's the only reason these men and women do it. And guess what he said? Remember Tobiah, Yahuwah going to remember your sin. He's going to visit your sin upon you for these plots and schemes. Remember Tobiah and Sanballat, O my Elohim, according to these things that they did. They did these things. And also the prophetess, the woman, the Nabiyah, Noadiah, and the rest of the Nabi'im who wanted to make me afraid. You saying, if I told you, he do make Nabi and Nabiyah, male and female, in the body of Yahusha Mashiach. But everybody ain't in the body of Mashiach for the right reason. Some of them are just to make you weak and feeble. To make you weak and feeble and have a wounded heart. And take away your courage. And make your hands weak. And you know what Nakum Yah said? This is Sirach 25:24. And the wicked woman obeyeth the courage, and maketh an heavy countenance and a wounded heart. She will break your heart with reproaches. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands. Yahuwah, strengthen my hands. I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. Why do you think Yahusha ain't come down from the cross? Why do you think he ain't come down? He said, I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. They kept telling him, come down from the cross and we'll believe in you. You be the king of Yahusha, king of Yasharal. Come down from the cross, we'll believe in you, be the king of Yehuda. That's what these Shah will say to you. Why do you think she wants you to come down? Because she little, she tiny, she only a little rib. That's why he was up high and she was down low. She a little rib. But she had a little wicked tongue on her to make you weak and feeble. And Yahusha said, I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. Why should the work cease and not come down to you, woman? Because that's what Yasharal and Yehuda was. I liken Yasharal to a woman. Whores and prostitutes. That's what they are. They were whores. They were prostitutes. They worship other gods. They have a mouth on them. Whores and prostitutes are loud and stubborn and wayward. They feet don't abide in the house. They make the husband go dwell on the rooftop. It's better to dwell on the rooftop with a foolish and contentious woman because it's like the letting out of water. They are like, that's what Yasharal and Yehuda was like. That's why Yahusha said, I'm doing a great work, I can't come down. Because these are all the tests of life. And you got to tell yourself that. But guess what? He said, make your weak hands and feeble knees. It may make your knees weak. Verse 24, of the woman came the beginning of sin. Say what? Of the woman became the beginning of sin. Because she was the first one that was deceived. And a transgressor. And then she told Adam about something, and then he listened to her voice and he transgressed. And it became the beginning of sin from a woman. It says, and through her we all die. For what? For the day you eat of it, you shall surely die. Because through her we all die. How does a man come into the world? Through a woman. And you come in naked. And guess how you're going to leave? Naked, and you're going to die. For dust thou art, and dust you shall return. Bereshit chapter 2, you go to Bereshit chapter 2, verse 17. Bereshit chapter 2, verse 17. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Because that's the whole point. Muth. He said you're going to surely die. Because if you don't understand this, then you're going to find yourself in trouble. You're going to find yourself in trouble, right? So this is the book of 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 1. It says, be imitators of me as I am of Mashiach Yahusha. Now I commend you because you remember me in everything and maintain the traditions even as I have commanded you. Why? But I want you to understand that the head of every each man is Mashiach Yahusha. He said, that's my head. The head of the wife, Isha, is her husband. Why? Because you know what the woman going to try to do? She's going to make you give you a heavy countenance. She's going to try to put sin on you. And make you heavy and weak and feeble. And you know what happens after that? Yahuwah, strengthen my hands. She make you weak hands. She ain't going to comfort you in the day of distress. She's going to try to make your hands weak. That you won't stop the work. That's the only reason she's going to do it. Because she wants you to stop. But you can't stop. You can't. You can't stop. No matter what they do. You can't stop. Satan knows this too. He knows this. But I want you to understand that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the wife is her husband. Right? If people don't believe this, you just read it. Adam, he just told her that the man gonna marshal over you. And that is your punishment. Yahusha ain't died so you can not follow through your punishments. No, he died so you can get eternal life. You still got to walk out your punishments. You don't get to walk away from your punishment. In pain, you're going to bring forth children, and the desire shall be to your husband, and he shall marshal over you. But you got to make him weak and feeble in order for you to take it. You got to make him like you. That's why they try to get you sick. That's why they try to make you weak. That's why they try to put you in a bed. That's why they try to put you with a tube in your mouth. And that's why, you know why they want that? So they can rule over you. They can marshal, have dominion over you. Because a woman who ain't wicked, she gonna make you, she ain't gonna let you get weak. She not gonna let you get weak. She ain't gonna make you feeble. She gonna comfort you in the day of distress. She ain't gonna make your hands weak. She gonna say, we can do this thing. She ain't gonna do that. She gonna be like Hannah. She not gonna walk like these people who do that. You women who do that. She not gonna do that. Why would he do that? Why would she do that? A righteous woman ain't gonna do that. She ain't gonna make no wounded heart. She ain't gonna try to purposely hurt your heart. She not. 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I want you to understand that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the wife is her husband, and the head of Mashiach is Elohim. Every man who prays or navas with his head covered dishonors his head. But every wife who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. Right? We talk about veils, right? But at the same time, with her head uncovered dishonors her head, since it is the same as if her head was shaven. So we're talking about all this hair that people had on their head, right? We know we talked about this already, but we're going to skip over. We're going to skip over. Going to verse 7. Going to verse 7. For the man ought not to cover his head with a bunch of hair, like a woman, since he is the image and kabod of Elohim, but the woman is the kabod of the man. She's the glory of the man. For the man was not made from woman, but the woman from the man. He took it from her rib and he caused it deep sleep, and he made Adam, he made her from her rib. He made little him. You're the weaker version of him. You're smaller. But guess what? You're weaker, but guess what? There's no way you should not be making your husband weak, feeble, and feeble-handed. You should not make his heart wounded. You shouldn't do that. You should not make him lose his courage, make him a coward. You should not make him have a wounded heart. You should comfort your husband in the day of distress, because it come on every single man in the Torah. And you know what else? You shouldn't make his hands weak, make him a weak man. Why? You know what you're gonna do is make his hands weak, and then you're gonna find somebody with stronger hands and go be with him. But you made him weak. You think Yahuwah ain't see your plot and your scheme? Because you don't want him no more, so you make his hands weak and feeble, make him all feeble and weak and frail and with a heavy countenance with your sin, right? With your mouth, and then you do it with your abated courage. You take his courage away, and then you go find a man who more stronger than him, because you ain't want. And you say, yeah, I don't want him no more. Look how weak he is. He ain't no man. You ain't no man. And then you go find another man. You think Yahuwah don't see you? You think Yahuwah don't see you? Right? That's how men get caught in act with these he say adulterous women. Because they only coming to make you weak. How is he gonna get dominion over you to get you to commit adultery? They gotta make you feeble, weak. They gotta give you a wounded heart. They gotta get you. They gotta wound your heart. They gotta like dagger you a couple times. Wound your heart, cut you, make you desire her even more. It's called manipulation. Then they make you pursue her even more, and she hiding things, and then you ended up going to death, and your soul get punished. It's all a plot and a scheme. But guess what it says? Neither was man created for the woman, but the woman for the man as an azar. You know, some women still don't believe this. He said they darkened in their understanding because Satan took the seeds out of their mind because they're drunk with the cares of this life. Because the only thing a virtuous woman care about today is money. They don't care about the other parts of the virtuous woman that she does. For a man was not made for woman, but woman for man. Neither was the man created for women, but women for man. They were made for you. Man, a woman was made for a man. Guess what? This is why a wife ought to have a symbol of authority on her head, because of the Malachim. Nevertheless, is the master. A woman is not independent of the man, nor the man of the woman. Why you say independent? Independence Day. We ain't talking about. He said, man, you got aliens, you got demons on the inside, you got aliens on the inside of your mind. He said, you ain't independent. For as a woman was made from man, so man is now born of woman. So now the sons come out from the woman. It's showing you the similarity of it. So you should understand how a woman is taken out of a man. So now you can understand how a man comes out of a woman. The only way a woman can understand how a man comes out of her is for her to understand that she came out from a man. Because that was like a birth. And guess what? So man is now born of woman. And all things are from Elohim, right? That's the only way it's going to be. Judge for yourselves. Is it proper for a Nisha to pray with her head uncovered? He said, is it proper for her to have her head shaven? For her to pray? For her to look like a man? Is that proper? Does not nature itself teach you that if a man wears long hair is a disgrace for him? He said, should a woman pray with bald-headed? It's not even proper. If a man have long hair, he said, man, you shouldn't have all that hair covered like that. Cut that hair off. And then it says, but if a woman has long hair, it is her kabod. Some women hair ain't even long. They be like, this is my kabod. I'm like, how long your hair is? But then if they want to be bald headed, because some people just, some people gotta shave all their hair off because they gotta be humble again. Why? Because then you gotta wear a veil on your head. Because we don't want you walking around thinking that you a what? Man with a bald head trying to pray. You might as well put on a veil till your hair grow back. Because it don't look right. But if a woman has long hair, it's her kabod, for her hair is given to her for a covering. Why? Because you're supposed to have your head covered with hair. You ain't supposed to be having your head with no, things on your head. Why? Because they don't want to, when you start to see these things, and granted, a lot of women do have their hair covered. And granted, some people believe it that way, and some people don't. But at the same time, respect Yahuwah's order. Because if you don't, Yahuwah sent him Malachi after you. But if a woman has a long hair, it is her kabod, for her hair is given to her for a covering. If anyone is inclined to be contentious, this is what you don't want. This is how women get contentious. Because some women want to be bald-headed and pray. Some women want to have their hair. I want to have my hair long. Some people want to be bald-headed. Some men want to have their hair long and look like a woman. If anyone is inclined to be contentious, we have no such practices. Why? Because you don't want no contention. Because that give place to Satan. And you don't want to give place to Satan. You see how destructive he is? No. So if a woman, Isha, is contentious because she want to stay bald-headed and she don't want to wear no veil on her head, then let it be so. In the proper context, when you start talking about, we have no such practices. Why? Because a lot of people have a problem with it. But at the same time, there is a custom that he said you're not even supposed to teach with long locks, right? But if you on it, he said when you have them, right? In Ezekiel, but we're not going there, right? So this is the book of, because this is the whole point. We're almost finished, right? So this is. This is the book of 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 8. I desire that in every place that men should pray, lifting up Qahalath hands without anger or quarreling, right? So a man does get angry. Why would he say without anger or quarreling? Because men get angry and quarrel. So he's saying don't do it without anger and quarreling. Put your anger and your quarreling away, stop, and then go pray with Qahalath hands. People act like you're not going to get angry and you don't quarrel with nobody. Especially if somebody raised their voice or doing something evil and raw, or there are disagreements or many things that take place. People act like you're not supposed to have that. Likewise, also the women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel. Why? Because it's got to be respectable, because if you don't, you're going to create things in other people and other men. It's like an Isha who is a whore in the world or likes the attention of men, and she loves to show her body off, or she boasts about all the men that look at her and like her to try to make her husband jealous of other things, which she shouldn't have on her tongue, but these are not proper. But at the same time, the women do, and then they start to do things and it's not really proper, right? To say you follow Yahusha Mashiach. That women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel with modesty and self-control. You say you need to have self-control in how you dress. I say plain clothing. Why? Because if you don't, it's going to be crazy. It's not going to look proper. Because you have to look a certain way. Not with braided hair and gold or pearls and costly attire. He said not with all that. You know how people, we're not talking about you can't braid your hair. We're talking about when you start to do outrageous stuff that has nothing to do with Yahuwah himself. It's all about you when you do that. And it says, and gold or costly attire. Why? You don't want to be wearing things that's overly expensive and all these things. And Yahushua was like, you need to sell those things and give to the poor. Why would you want to wear something costly array and doing all these things with your hair that costs a lot of money and doing all these things when there's poor people around? When a virtuous woman opened her yard and her cough to the poor, to the needy. But with what is proper for women who profess righteousness with good works. He said, what is proper? You know what's proper. Is it proper for a woman to pray with her bald head? No, you need to let your hair grow back. Because it don't look right. It really don't. Think about it. It sounds funny, but think about it. But guess what? Let a woman learn quietly with all submissiveness. Why? Because a woman can't learn. If she ain't quiet, she ain't gonna learn nothing. Ain't nothing changed. When Adam and Chuah sinned, the sin multiplied and they grew a harvest. It ain't nothing changed. He said, learn quietly with all submissiveness. I do not permit a woman to teach. Why? Or exercise authority over a man. Why? Why doesn't permit it? Because if he exercise authority over the man, then she make him feeble and weak, and she have dominion, and that's against the bar of Bereshit, Genesis chapter 3. When he says he's going to marshal over you, and he's going to have dominion, rule, be a governor and reign, and have power over you, and be able to bear your sin that you do to try to make him heavy. And he say, Yahuwah, strengthen my hands. But with proper for women who profess righteousness with good works, let a woman learn quietly with all submissiveness. And do not permit a woman to teach. I do not permit a woman to teach or exercise authority over a man. Rather that she should remain quiet. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you. You have the right to Yahusha Mashiach. And you have the right to the tree of life. And if you need him to be an advocate for you, and when you commit sin, you can pray to him, and he'll fight in defense for you. But you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you when Yahuwah judges between the Elohims and the gods. She remained quiet, for Adam was formed first. He said, first, who shall go up first? The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda, neither the lawgiver from his feet. He said, who shall go up first and fight for it? Yehuda shall go up first. Adam was first formed. Who went up first? He said, I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am, there you may be also. He said, I'm going up first. Yehuda went up first. Yahusha went up first. He said, who's going to go up first? For Adam was formed first. The woman was not born first. She was not formed first, but she want to be. Then cool. First, second. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived. The serpent deceived me, the Nakash deceived me, Satan deceived me, Mustamim deceived me, Turah deceived me, Asmodei deceived me, Okoros deceived me. Satan all deceived me. Shaitan deceived me. What is Satan's name? Shaitan name mean? To devour male and female. Life. And give them death. And that's what he gave Adam and Chuah. That's what his Shaitan name mean. And guess what? Now, guess what it says? Yet she shall be saved in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be your husband. He shall marshal over you. We just read all of that right here. And you're going to be saved in childbearing, and in pain you're going to bring forth children. So if a woman don't want no children, how are you going to be saved? How are you going to suffer in this life? If you don't suffer, you don't reign. Because we all got a child. Whether you have one in this natural life or not. Or you have one in your stomach now. If you let the man be born again, you should not see the Malkut. But why would you not want a child and you in Yahushua Mashiach? Don't you want to create righteous seed? Or is something wrong with your mind? Oh, you must be returning evil for good. And you don't have no desire for your husband because you desire your hand. You desire some toys. Or maybe you desire some woman. Or maybe you just desire to be independent of the man. Maybe that's probably your problem. But one thing one has to find out, right? We talk about certain things. He said, I love my yard more than I love my husband. I love my right hand more than I love my husband. I love the right side of my mind more than I love my husband. I love my cell phone in my hand more than I love my husband. I love my mother more than I love Yahusha Mashiach. I love my mother, my father, my son, my daughter. I love all these things more. But yeah, everybody's reason is different. Yeah, she will be saved through childbearing if they continue in Amunah, right? If they continue. Who he talking about they? Adam. If they continue in Amunah, right? Belief in it. Ahab, first fruits of the Ruach. And Kudash with self-control. That's the end of it. Self-control is the end of the fruits of the Ruach. That's the birth thing process. You shall be saved in childbearing. After 9 fruits is self-control. You will be saved in childbearing. You need to have, that's how a woman is saved, through childbearing. Naturally in Ruach. Because a woman needs to be busy. The woman, Isha, needs to be busy. She needs a child in her stomach. So when she had a child, she'd be busy raising the child and not idle-minded every single day when she wake up. She need to get pregnant. That's the only reason. Then once she get pregnant, she'll have something to do. Then she won't be idle-minded, and then she'll learn in all quietness. Because she got to keep herself in a certain state of mind, and she can't utterly be quarreling and fighting and strife with the children around. And she can't do all these things anymore. She would have to keep herself restricted in self-control, and she'll have to have love, a peace, patience, meekness, temperance, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. She will have these things inside. But if she ain't never get pregnant, it ain't never going to happen. You see all the distractions in the world today? He said, look at all the distractions today. You need to be occupied with the child that's in your stomach trying to maintain the Ruach, or you need to be occupied with the child. We need to hit a flesh and Ruach, right? It says continue in self-control, right? Because it's all a part of it. Right, this is the book of Ode Shaloma 1 through 16. My heart was pruned and the flower appeared. He said, my heart was pruned and the flower appeared. Then Khan sprang up in me, and produced fruits to Yahuwah. It produced the 9 fruits of the Ruach. And what? For the Most High circumcised me by his Kudash Ruach. Circumcise your heart, right? What do you mean? He says what? He circumcised me by his Ruach. Why? Because you ain't circumcised in your heart and your mind. Then what happens? Right? You know what happens? Then your ears are not circumcised. Your heart is not circumcised. Then he uncovered my inward being towards him, right? He uncovered your thoughts and your marrow. For the bar is quick and powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword. Discerner of the intents of the heart, cutting to the joint and the bone and the marrow. And fill me with his love, because you need it. And his circumcision became my salvation, and I ran toward the way in Shalom, in the way of truth. From the beginning unto the end, I received his knowledge. For I established upon a rock of truth where he has sent me. And speaking waters touched my lips from the springs of Yahuwah generously. And so I drank and became intoxicated with the living water that does not die. You mean living water. Yahusha said, he that believes on me, as the scripture said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. What do you think happened when Yahusha Mashiach was on totality in Matthew chapter 27? What do you think happened? What do you think happened? Because all this is a part of it. All this is a part of it, right? So this is the book of Matthew, Matthew chapter 27 and verse 27-32. It says, and they went out and they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name, and they compelled him to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means a place of skull, they offered him wine to drink, mixed with gall. But when he tasted it, he would not drink it. He will not eat it. You know what he told him? He said, the day you eat of it, you shall surely die, right? Did Yahuwah actually say you shall not surely die? He said, man, Yahusha tasted it though. Yeah, he did. He said you're going to die. He tasted it though. He tasted it, right? This is Yochanan chapter 18 and verse 19. Actually, go to 19, chapter 19. Chapter 19, 28. And after this, Yahusha, knowing that all was now finished, and said to fulfill the scripture, I thirst, a jar of sour wine stood there. So they put full of sour wine in hyssop branch and held it to his mouth. Nakash, right? But what did he do? And when Yahusha had received the sour wine, he said, it is finished. And bowed his head and gave it the ruach. He shall surely die. First time he ain't touch it. He said, that's the commandment. I can't eat that. And the second time he's like, his Isha, they put it on the reed. His Isha gave it to him to drink, and he willingly drank it. He willingly died. He laid on his life for it. He willingly took it. He willingly drunk it. Because the strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, the weaker vessel, because they're weak. If you don't know how to dwell with a weaker vessel according to understanding and knowledge, you ain't gonna make it, because they're only flesh. And you have to look at them that way. No matter what they say. You just gotta look at them that way. No matter what they do, you have to look at them that way. And you have to look at them with a hug, love and a how, just like Yahusha looked at you. Right? And his circumcision became my salvation. Verse 3. And I ran in the way of peace, in the way of truth. From the beginning unto the end, I received his knowledge. And I was established upon a rock of truth, where he has sent me. And speaking waters touched my lips from the spring of Yahuwah generously. And so I drank and became intoxicated with living water that does not die. For my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. You know, I say, you own a house and things of that sort. People say, that's vanity, I don't care. He said, man, that stuff does not hinder me from speaking of the bar. See, these things, some people can't take all of that. It's too overwhelming to have things and know Yahushua Mashiach. Because Yahushua already told you. He already told you what was going to happen. And then people, when it happens to you, you know what people say? It's not supposed to be this way. It's all vanity. Who cares? Right? You know how people say. You know how people say. But here we go. This is the book of. Right. This is how people. You know how people say it. But this is how it goes. Right, so this is the book of Mark chapter 10, verse 27. Mark 10, 27. Yahusha looked at them, and said, with man it is impossible, but not with Elohim. By going over to Mark chapter 10, verse 23. And Yahusha looked around and said to his disciples, how difficult it is for those who have wealth to enter the Malkut of Elohim. You know how it is. It's very difficult. It is. Because you got a lot of possessions. And the disciples were amazed at his words. But Yahusha said to them, again, children, how difficult is it to enter the kingdom of Elohim? It is easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the Malkut of Elohim. And they were exceedingly astonished and said to him, then who can be saved? Who going to be saved? You know, a woman going to be saved in childbearing. Who can be saved? Then who can be saved? And Yahusha looked at them and said, with man it is impossible. Because, you know, man, all his vanity and vexation of the Ruach with carnal-minded people. It's impossible for, man, ain't no way you get in the kingdom with all that. Man, you look at all that stuff you got. Look at all the riches you got. With man it is impossible, but not with Elohim, because you know how you think. Yahuwah said, my thoughts are not your thoughts. And my ways are not your ways. Even as the Sham'ny Chdsh to the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways. Man, it's impossible for that to happen. Who's going to be saved then? He says it's impossible. You a rich man can't get in. Because you don't think like Yahuwah think. You need to get your thoughts in a higher thoughts in a higher mind. You need to get your mind out of the earth and stop thinking like a man, a human being, and start thinking like an Elohim, an Elohim. For all things are possible with Elohim. Who is not a man he should lie. Everything ain't possible, but he ain't gonna lie when he said this. Qahalath began to say to him, see, we have left everything and follow you, man. We don't, but see, you saying that it's possible with Elohim, with man it's impossible, but we left everything to follow you. Yahusha said, truly I said to you, there is no one who has left houses or brothers or sisters or mothers or fathers or children or lands for my sake and for the truth who will not receive 100-fold, which means he's just showing you with man, it's impossible with man. But with Elohim, when you become an Elohim, it's not written in your Torah, you're Elohim, and your thoughts be like Yahuwah and the higher Shamayim, and you now become like him. Get what he said. Who will receive 100-fold now in this time, houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands. What do you mean by that? It's possible with Elohim. It is possible. It is possible. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything. With man, it's impossible. But with Elohim, it's possible. So who you going to believe? You don't believe. Yahuwah created all things. It's easy for him to do that. He says, and the sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecution. You're going to get persecuted when you get this stuff and you believe on Yahushua Mashiach and you believe in Yahuwah. These people are going to be saying all types of things. I hope everything be taken. I hope you lose everything. I hope all this. Because that's with man, it's impossible. What you're doing is it's like impossible. Because in their mind, they're tricked by Satan to think that it's impossible for you to have all of that and still get into Mount Kuth. And guess what he said? Who will not receive 100-fold now in this time, houses, brothers, sisters, and mothers, and children and lands with persecution in the age and. So you say, and? I put the and on the second part and say, man, and? So how Barak do you want to be? I want both. You know how people say. Yahuwah, I know it's possible. With you, it's possible. With man, they can't really see that far. They can't really understand it. I understand it. Breath, width, depth, and height. I understand it. I understand it within my thoughts and my mind. He said, do you, Isha? Do you, Ish? Do you understand it? He said, with persecutions and in the age to come, eternal life. So he's saying, and. So how Barak do you want to be? Do you believe or do you don't? I believe it. I need a mind. Right? You know how people say? I need a mind. Right? But many who are first will be last. The people who first, they say, man, they think they first. Man, that's impossible. That ain't going to happen. Man, with man, ain't no way your rich man can get. That's the people that first. Who think they did all that. Qahalath said, man, we left everything. What are you talking about? He said the first gonna be last and the last gonna be first. The people who believe it, he's like, man, and last gonna be first. He said, you were first, but he said, the last, he said, we're gonna be first. And for those with unbelief, and eternal life. 100-fold and eternal life. And amazing, what's the 100 under all of this? What's the hundreds? What equals 100 in all of this? How you say? The Kuf. Sun on the horizon. Matter of fact, till the day dawn, the day start rising in your heart. Because so for some reason, you thinking that it's impossible for each to have that. Till the day dawn and the day start rising in your heart. Because everybody don't believe it, right? Right? That's the whole point. Right? Because that's the whole point. Because everybody don't believe it, right? And you say, why? Why you need to believe this? 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 17. For when he receives honor and kabod from the Abba, the Father, and the voice was born to him with majesty and kabod. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. He's going to receive 100-fold, matter of fact, and eternal life. Why would Yahuwah not Barak his body that way? And you know what he said? This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. He said, I always do those things that please. My Father has never left me alone. I do all those things that please him. You know what he said? We ourselves heard this very voice born from Shamayim, for we were with him on the Kudash Mount. He said, I was with you. We saw him. Who are you talking to? We're talking about a calf who saw him. You ain't seen nothing. And we have the prophetic word more fully confirmed, to which you will do well if you pay attention, as a lamp shining in a dark place, until the day dawns and the morning star arise in your heart. He said, 100-fold. Kuf. Priest cap. Sun on the horizon. I called you out of darkness into this marvelous light. You couldn't light no fire on the Shabbat, but only the priest could. I called you out of darkness. You was in darkness. Now I brought you to this marvelous light. Knowing this first of all, that not prophecy of the scripture comes from someone's own interpretation, for no prophecy was ever produced by the will of man. With man, this is impossible. It's impossible with man. But get what he said, with human beings. Because you know how they doubt and they have unbelief and hatred and envy and jealousy. But men spoke from Elohim as they were carried along by the Ruach Kodash. Right, verse 8. Odes of Solomon 11 and 8. And my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. Man, I abandoned that thing. Them vain thoughts. Start thinking that Yahuwah can't do nothing. That's vanity and vexation of the Ruach to think it's impossible with Yahuwah. That's vexation of the Ruach. That's a terrible life to live in this physical reality. And eternal life. 100-fold and eternal life. With persecution. I mean, they're going to come take it, and then you will say, again, 100-fold and, right? Even though they may try to take it. Okay, you took it again. Say 100-fold and eternal life. That's how you will work with his people. That's how it works. And my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. And I turned toward the Most High Yahuwah, my Elohim, and was enriched by his favors. When a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and gets favor from Yahuwah, right? And I abandoned folly and because folly, a wise woman builds a house. But folly, with her own hands, tears it down to the ground. Her yad and her ka, right? And I abandoned folly and cast upon the earth and stripped it off, and cast it from me. Man, I cast that folly away. I'm not trying to, a woman, Isha need to cast these thoughts away and need to be in subjection and need to get in line and don't tear down her house, that it may be 100-fold and eternal life. And eternal life. And Yahuwah renewed me by his garment and possessed me in his light. Be renewed in the ruach of your mind. And, notice how we got and all these. And from above gave me immortal rest, and I became like the land which blossoms and rejoices in its fruits. And Yahuwah is like the sun till the day dawn and the day star rise in your heart. It must ain't rose yet. The kuf, it ain't 100-fold yet. It ain't rose in your heart yet. The kuf, you know, the thing that people are afraid of, them aleph bet. You know, the aleph bet. Things people are afraid of. They scared of he said they scared of them aleph bet. They scared of the 19th letter of the aleph bet. You know how it is. Kuf, 100, right? And Yahuwah is like the sun. upon the face of the land. My eyes were enlightened, and my face received the dew. Right? And my breath was refreshed by the pleasant fragrance of Yahuwah. And he took me into his paradise, wherein is the wealth of Yahuwah's pleasure. With man, it's impossible. With human nature and human mindsets, it's impossible. But with Elohim, it's possible. Therefore, everybody who left mother, father, sister, brother, lands shall receive mother, father, sister, lands, brothers, sisters, children, lands, and 100-fold and eternal life. And, right? He said, man, keep on saying it. And eternal life, right? And, right? He said, I believe it, right? That's what you got to say. Sirach 3:17-23. My son, go on thy business in Aydah. Why? Because he said, the reward of humility and the fear of Yahuwah is riches, honor, and life, and eternal life. 100-fold and, right? That's how it works. My son, go on thy business in meekness. But if you have unbelief in your heart, an evil heart of unbelief, or your Isha has the evil heart of unbelief, she will tear down your house with her yard and her cough, her hands with her folly and her unbelief. And she won't be Anua, Sana, Kana. She ain't gonna be that. She'll fall. She ain't gonna be humble and humility no more. She's gonna be trying to make you feeble and weak, and make your hands weak, and make your Amuna weak, so she can rule and have dominion over you. But Yahuwah, he say, strengthen my hands, strengthen my yard and my calf, right? So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more anew thyself, humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high places of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the anew, the meek. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honor with the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. Don't search for a wicked woman. That's above your strength. Because she ain't gonna come for you in the day of trouble, and she gonna make your hands weak. She gonna abate your courage. She gonna make you feeble. That's above your strength. And you gonna be weak. But you know how she said, Shaul, my strength made perfect in weakness. Yahuwah, strengthen my hands. That's why he give you a wicked woman. So you can say like Nakumiyah, Yahuwah, strengthen my yard and my car, strengthen my yard, right? That's why he give you a wicked woman. That's why he allow her to get wicked sometimes. So you need to know what Nakumiyah said. She wanted to make me afraid that I'll lead her work. Yahuwah, strengthen my hands. That's what you got to say to yourself. That's why when men and women come at you and try to make you afraid, and Nabiyahs and all these people try to come and try to get you to leave and stop you doing what you're doing, keep on going and say, Yahuwah, strengthen my hands. And that's what you got to do. For the power of Yahuwah is great and honor with the lowly. Seek, and that's a lowly person. Seek not out things too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters. For more things are showed unto thee than men and women and children understand. Be not hakma da'at. Right? So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at the light of life. We look at the truth, the way, and the life. Yahushua Mashiach. For it's by him that we have our strength. He said, I can do all things through him that strengthens me. For the just shall live by his amun, and to follow his steps, and to follow his heart, and to bear the weak infirmities. Bear the weak. Why? Because if you can't bear the weak, then you can't be like him. And to love and ahab like him. And to walk in love like him. Knowing that quarreling and fighting is a part of it. Knowing that all these things that war within our flesh and our works of our flesh, knowing that we are only flesh, right? We are only flesh, right? And then when you start looking at your flesh, then you start to see, why are we only flesh? Because once you realize you are only flesh, then something transforms within yourself, in your heart and your mind. Because once you realize that, it changes you. It changes you, right? So this came to my mind. This came into my mind. This is Psalm 63:1. Tahalim 63:1. Oh Elohim, you are my Elohim, and I earnestly what? Seek you. My soul thirsts for you. Why do you think Yahusha drunk the wine? But he says, my flesh faints for you. It faints. As in a dry and weary land, and where there is no water. He said, ain't no water. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and kabod, because your steadfast love is better than life. My lips will praise you, so I will barak you as long as I live. In your name I will lift up my hands. Yahuwah, strengthen my hands, friend. He said, I'm going to lift up my hands. Get what it says, verse 5. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips. Man, Yahuwah has made me happy. He made me joyful. I call his name Asher. And you know what happens after that? When I remember you upon my bed and meditate on you in the watches of the night with your iron. For you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy. My soul clings to you, and your right hand, your yard, upholds me. So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at the love and the life that he's given, and the understanding that he's given. Knowing that he said that Adam and Qahalath, when they did transgress, Yahuwah still showed compassion and mercy to them, and gave them their judgments, but yet they lived on and lived many years later, many hundreds of years. But at the same time, even their descendants kept mutating over and over again, and now man can't live past 5 jubilees, let alone 7. But yet, through righteousness of Amunah, he said, length of days and long life will be added to you when you don't lean to your own understanding. And in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. It will be healing to your shore, your connection, your cord, and refreshment to your asheb, your bones. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called Isha. He came to strengthen his bones. Why? Because she made it feeble. She made it weak. She took away the courage of Adam. So he came to strengthen the weak parts of himself, that she may be strong. Why? Because you're only as strong as your weakest link. And these are all a part of it. So we live in this world, we are not of it. And to live in the world is to walk even as Yahusha walked. Why? Why you want to walk like Yahusha walked? So you can receive 100-fold. And the day star arise in your heart, and eternal life. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The Anu shall inherit the Aydah.